You're listening to the TV Obsessive channel, presented by TVObscast.com.
Hello and welcome back to the TV Obsessive podcast. This is episode 33. My name is Ryan Kirksey. I'm a writer and contributor for TVObsessive.com. And I'm joined again by Cameron Crane, executive editor for the site. Cameron, time is a flat circle, I guess, based on what we're going to talk about today.
Indeed. And we need some beer cans to
Yeah, that's right.
smash.
Cigarettes and beer cans, what we need for the conversation today.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about True Detective Night Country Part 2, aka Season 4, Episode 2. These don't have titles. I think the previous seasons actually did have episode titles, so
They did,
read
and
into that
it's
as you like.
interesting. You go to Wikipedia or the HBO page. The first four are labeled Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, and then 5 and 6 are TBA. You know, like they're not going to be Part 5 or 6.
Like, they're going to give us titles later.
Yeah,
That's weird. That's funny if that ends up being the case. But yeah, we're going to dig into that episode in the latter part of the pod. First, we'll talk a bit about what's been in the news, what we've been watching. That's maybe relatively brief. We were just meeting to talk about Fargo, and we're kind of switching up our schedule here a little bit. We're going to put these out on Sunday nights, right after True Detective airs. I'll be upfront about, we're recording a little bit early. I don't think it's too early. I don't think like the world's going to radically change between
right.
now and Sunday night. We're putting this out on January 21st, 2024. That's what week it is. What do you got, Ryan? What have you noticed the past few days?
Well, I mean, even since we last recorded, apparently White Lotus season 3 is going to be the best, best season of TV in history, right?
Best
I mean,
cast ever.
they just keep adding Hall of Famers all over the place. So we've got in the past couple of days the announcement of Walton Goggins going to be on White Lotus season 3, joining several others, most notably maybe Patrick Schwarzenegger. So this joins the Michelle Monaghan, Parker Posey group that we had already. Several big names now on. This is a not only a great cast but a massive cast they have this season.
Oh yeah, and it's like a Cameron's favorite actor list. Walton Goggins and Carrie Coon and Parker
Yep.
Posey, and like if they had like Justin Theroux, I might just like explode in joy.
White Lotus, Thailand, the leftover season.
No, Kyle MacLachlan. Oh my god. But anyway, those people aren't in it. But yeah, Walt Goggins. I love Walton Goggins. Also he's I'm looking forward to him in the Fallout show that comes out in April, which Kyle MacLachlan is in. See, there's connections.
That's right.
But yeah, White Lotus season 3 really ever increasing in excitement with the casting notice. It's a very character driven show, so it does kind of matter in that way.
I think this has to be getting towards the end. I think they're filming next month, so I mean we're probably about done with the casting announcements, but who knows?
Well, yeah, and also like how many people can there be?
Exactly.
I expect like 4 couples or something like this, people on the staff. I mean, past seasons have had a relatively big cast, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah.
Kind of ensemble. On a negative note, just
Yeah.
that they Apple TV Plus has canceled Schmigadoon. You ever watch Schmigadoon?
I have seen a little bit of Schmigadoon, only because I may be one of the world's biggest Cecily Strong fans. Loved her when she was on Saturday Night Live. She was one of my favorite characters. So I can't say that I'm deep into this show, but I have seen it, and this has quite a following, as I understand it.
Yeah, it's been on my list as something that I wanted to check out at some point and I haven't gotten around to it. And I feel extra bad about that. Clay Dockery has written on it for the site on season 1 and season 2. And from the perspective of having a deep knowledge of musical theater, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like dig into that. You like dig into the references, all of that kind of stuff. So I do recommend the articles you have on the site on that front as far as Clay was really trying to do that. And yeah, there's definitely a following for the show. And unfortunately, it appears they've written all the episodes for a 3rd season and 25 songs. So like maybe it'll get revived somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that. I think his name is Cinco Paul, one of the creators of the show. Immediately after the announcement, obviously he was prepared for this. Apple TV puts out a notice they're not renewing it. He goes to social media, I mean, the next minute and says, the optimist in me feels that this is not the end of Schmigadoon. So he thinks it might get picked up somewhere else.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm getting ever so slightly worried about Apple TV Plus because you remember how like several years ago you kind of had this feeling like Netflix was a place that would take chances,
Yeah. Yeah.
like put out BoJack Horseman,
Right.
stuff like that. Netflix
Yep.
is no longer that, right? And I started to think maybe Apple TV Plus was sort of that. Um, the first thing I recall them canceling was Mr. Corman, which
Yes.
I thought fair. Did you ever watch that?
No.
Okay. I thought it was fair because I always had the impression I was the only one who liked it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wrote on it. I saw other critics panning it and whatever. But you had some of these other shows that feel a little bit niche. Schmigadoon, The After Party, like it
Mm.
felt like they're taking some chances, and we're seeing them canceling Schmigadoon. They canceled The After Party also, for what it's worth. Um, so I don't know. I don't know if these are canaries in the coal mine, but
Yeah, it's interesting. We've talked at length about their strength in certain genres, but they have resisted themselves from other things, it seems.
yeah, and I mean like Schmigadoon, people like musicals,
Yeah.
but it is kind of like not everyone does. There are people like I'm not watching a musical, and so here's a show that is a musical that's
Yeah.
also mining humor from nerdy references to the history of musical theater, and like that's the thing.
Yeah.
So of course, for some people are like, man, this is my bag,
Right. Exactly.
but it's not the kind of thing that is going to be ever broadly popular,
Right.
like Ted Lasso or
Exactly.
something. So I don't know. Curious where Apple
Well,
TV
if
goes.
it's written and the season is ready for production, it would not surprise me to see it somewhere else in the near future.
Yeah, of course, it's tough to shoot it and spend money
Yeah,
and
of course, of course.
whatever.
Well, there is
Um,
one show that's lasted a little bit longer than 2 seasons. We saw this that Law and Order SVU kicked off its 25th season this week. Mariska Hargitay has been on for now more than 530 episodes, leading the way there. There's only one other United States primetime show that has lasted longer than Law and Order SVU, and that's The Simpsons.
I was going to say, if you were going to ask me to guess, I was like, I'm ready
Yeah.
for this trivia. God, The Simpsons. I can't believe. Do you ever
Yeah.
think about how like I remember when The Simpsons premiered? I remember when The Simpsons was a bit on the Tracy Ullman show.
Oh, okay.
And then they're like, we're going to make this its own show. And I was a
Yeah.
kid, but I was like, oh, I like that.
I
Um,
remember being 10 or 11 years old and my parents saying, "Oh no, that's not for you. That's not allowed in this house."
oh, yeah, you had that kind. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
I was watching R-rated movies and stuff when I was like 9 years old. But, to think about how long that's been on and the fact that, you know, you wouldn't even have to be all that young
Yeah.
to have been born significantly after when The Simpsons started. I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's what's shocking is Simpsons has been on 10 years longer than SVU, and
yeah,
SVU is like 540 episodes now.
yeah. I didn't quite realize that. I guess I haven't been paying a lot of attention to Law and Order because, like, didn't they end the flagship? Like, isn't there no longer just plain old Law and Order?
Well, they ended it 2.5 years ago and then brought it back
They brought it
this
back.
year. So
Okay.
SVU is now past the flagship in terms of length of time and number of episodes. Um, but there's all these rotating characters in and out. But Mariska Hargitay has been there
Yeah.
from the very beginning
I think
of the
there's
first
also
episode.
a new Law and Order coming up. I think I've seen an ad for this while I was watching football, like Law and Order Organized Crime or
Organized
something.
crime, yeah, it's going to have this Elliot Stabler character. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a Chicago night, Law and Order night, comedy night. And that's just how these things work.
Yeah, I just wonder if the organized crime one will be more serial. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
don't know a lot about it. I should look into that. I used to watch Law and Order. Used to be something that back in the day when I was just using cable, like, oh, what's on TV? And you just like flip through and like, well, Law and Order is on TNT 23 hours a day. I guess
Yeah.
I guess I'll watch Law and Order.
It really is the perfect show to just fall asleep to, while you're making food, while you're trying to do something else. Just have it on. I mean, just great in background show.
Yeah, it is. It's a good thing to like put on. Um, I think we have a lot in terms of new things we've been watching. I picking up on the game show kick I've been on, watching
No,
Match
okay.
Game and Celebrity Jeopardy. I'm on Hulu, and I'm like, well, what's this new game show with Rob Lowe called The Floor? So I decided to
I
check this out. Have you heard
I
anything
thought
about
I'd
this?
seen a Rob Lowe trailer of him doing a game show, but no, I don't know anything about this.
All right, so the setup's a little convoluted, but I think it's cool. Okay, so first of all, there's a floor.
Before it's good.
All right, and it's like the contestants each have a square on the floor, basically, right? And so the goal of the game is ultimately going to be to take over spaces on the floor, kind of like you're playing Go or
Okay.
something. Okay.
Okay.
But each contestant has their self-proclaimed area of expertise. I
I
don't know how they
see.
did this in the background exactly, but you go on the show and you'd be like, I'm a Saturday morning cartoon expert. And then they randomly select someone. They say it's random anyway. And then they have to challenge one of the people who have an adjacent square to them.
Okay.
That's far? All right. This is a little
I got it so
convoluted. Yeah.
far. I'm
And
good.
and so you've been randomly selected, then you have to choose, like which person you want to challenge, and you challenge them in their area of expertise, as it were, right? And then the two contestants come out, and usually or often it's images, sometimes it's text based, but they put things up on the screen and you have to say what they are, basically. And then it's just timer based. So they'll
Mhm.
go back and forth, but if you pass, you lose 3 seconds. And basically, it's just whoever runs out of time first loses.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. This is a lot of
And
news, but I got it so far.
yeah, see, it's a little bit complicated, but it's important to the overall enjoyment of the thing because there's more, like, in terms of it being a little bit complicated. Which I guess I'll try to forego the nitty gritty, but it's like you end up taking over the other person's category, and then
Okay.
you have a choice of if you go back to the floor, then potentially you're going to have to defend this area of expertise that was this other person's area of expertise.
Okay.
So your choice is to go back to the floor and just kind of stand there,
Yeah.
or keep going, keep challenging someone else. And of course, I watch this and I'm constantly like, if I was on the show, just like keep challenging people until I lost. I know myself. Yeah.
So
But
you need to
these,
have a pretty maybe shallow but really broad lake of knowledge of things.
yeah, I guess if you're good at trivia or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
If I went up there and told them my areas of expertise are 1990s Houston Astros and Jeopardy betting strategy, I'm probably not going to get on the show, right?
that might be a little too niche.
Okay.
But I mean, I did see people whose like specialties were spices. One of them was
Okay.
like college sports teams, or
Okay. Okay.
so I think it's a little bit niche. But yeah, then it's like one of the things interesting about this too as a game show is it actually is a serial competition. So at the end of each episode, whoever owns the most space on the floor
Hmm.
gets $20,000
I
for
see.
that day's episode. But it's an ongoing competition. The ultimate goal is to be like the last person standing and own the entire floor, and then you win way more money. I don't know what it is, like $250,000 or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so there's kind of a lot of strategy to it. It's
Yeah,
fun.
I'm always up for a good trivia and strategy show, so let me check that out.
It's definitely something. This is currently airing.
Okay.
So I discovered it, and then I was like, oh, I have to wait a week. And as I say, it's almost like other TV, where I'm like, but it's an ongoing thing. Which is cool. I like that, but I think this is also one that would be very enjoyable to binge after the season's aired, because it
Yeah, I was
does
gonna say you can
carry forward through.
binge it after a period of time. All right. I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna
And
check
it's
that out.
Rob Lowe.
I've not caught up on anything new since we last spoke. Finished Echo, which I may have to invite Isabel on the show here to debate her. I thought there's some things I agree with her on, but thought overall the show was quite poor.
Yeah,
And it was to be expected. They had to Frankenstein the thing together after a lot of troubled production. But it neither here nor there. Just finish that up. But yeah, I mean, I've just been basically spent the last 4 days, thinking about True Detective and all the interconnectivity and the theories and what's going to happen here. So that's what's on in my brain right now.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get to talking about it because yeah, we're getting into it here with part two of True Detective Night Country. So as per usual, we'll have a little music, 10, 15 seconds. And on the other side, we're going to discuss True Detective Night Country Part 4, aka Season 4, Episode 2. I'm sorry, I totally flubbed that. Part 2, Season 4, Episode 2.
Yeah,
Did I do it right the
yeah,
first time? I don't know.
we
I think I
know.
did it wrong the first time.
We know what you're talking about.
Everyone knows. We'll edit that out. Anyway, big blanket spoiler warning for everything from True Detective season 4 up to this point on the other side here, and potentially from previous seasons. Yeah.